These now arouse the motivation of bodhicitta, the mindset of enlightenment. Thinks, I will establish by all means all other sentient beings who are limitless in number as the vast expanse of space at the level of perfect complete enlightenment. Nor should that ever the simplest profound Dharma affiliated quest. So Nico suggested having this session and suggested the 7 treasuries, discussing the 7 treasuries as a topic, because largely because many of you recently received the loans for those treatises from Zongsa Khyentse Rinpoche. So being that being the case, I thought it would be helpful to speak about the benefits and qualities of the 7 treasuries. It's so very precious and excellent to have received the oral transmission for these great teachings. But in addition, you all received the transmissions from a very excellent source, Zongsa Khyentse Rinpoche. Zongsa Khyentse Rinpoche is the reincarnation of his predecessor. Was the root guru of pretty much all the great masters of the previous generation, like the late Dudjom Rinpoche, Tulku Khyentse Rinpoche, Dudjom Rinpoche, right? Khyentse Choki Lodro was the root guru of these and many more great masters, and as you are well aware, also Khyentse Rinpoche is the reincarnation of Choki Lodro. In terms of his family as well, Khyentse Rinpoche is the son of Dongse Chögyenobu Rinpoche and the grandson, right? The paternal grandson of the late Dudjom Rinpoche, Jigdalese Doje. So both in terms of his Dharma line, so to speak, and family line. He's a very special teacher. So I imagine that as also Khyentse Rinpoche received the transmissions of the 7 treasuries himself from the late Khyentse Rinpoche and maybe Juju Rinpoche as well. So not only did you receive the transmission for, did you receive the transmission for teachings that are very great, but also from a very great source. And so his Khyentse Rinpoche's lineage is excellent. He himself is a great teacher, and he's also, in addition, very learned. So the fact that you received the transmissions from him is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. What I'll talk about today are the benefits of the 7 treasuries. So if I talk about the, when it worked for me just to talk like off the top of my head about, the benefits of the 7 treasuries, rather I will make use of Patrul Rinpoche's text, the invocation to read the 7 treasuries. Patrul Rinpoche himself is such a great master, every word he spoke contains blessings. Longchenpa is a master so inconceivable, he really was Buddha, fully enlightened being in person. He and his teachings are simply beyond ordinary conception. That being the case, only someone like Patrul Rinpoche is capable of describing the words and the qualities of Longchenpa's teachings. So I'm going to use this text by Patrul Rinpoche, the invocation an exhortation to read the 7 treasuries. That said, I'm not going to go through it word by word or line by line. That would take several days at least. What I'll do is just sort of highlight some of the main central points and give an overview. I will also at the end give through the process I'll also give you the lung for this text by Patrul Rinpoche. So by the end of the session then you will have received both the lung oral transmission for this text by Patrul Rinpoche and also instructions on it, brief instructions. It's not that I am lacking the transmission for this text. I received the transmission, the lung for it from Khyentse Rinpoche, and also instructions on the text. When he gave us the lung and the instructions, he took it extremely seriously. He taught this text very formally, but stands intensely, often with tears in his eyes, because of the preciousness of the 7 treasuries and the preciousness of this text itself, the sacredness of Longchenpa. So this is what I will do. I will go through Patrul Rinpoche's exhortation and share it if I would with all of you. Share it if I could with all of you, and while I do that, I'll just be continuously supplicating Khyentse Rinpoche.
Yeah. Tadi kunci loncat dalam jam di tak kandiri selalu kau tamcing kengnya ber. Tak kunci loncat dalam jam di jesar banjir tu ingin show di sisa jadi cikgu. Ini kalau kunci loncat dalam jam tu tak ingin magi no yuti keng jawab cikgu ingin malah tak mahu yurik 기장게 카페 조심서 여래 카페 지조선데 여래 여기는 위라서 주민 발송 선들리는 도지다가 과기 저는 라서바 본체 망고제래 본체 망고제래 뭐가 중앙 망고였다 님마 그런 거가 감다 별진 로고가 동창세기만 진짜 그게 근데 거가 망고여래 에티나 신제게 너는 님미게 공도 떠고 탄지게 근데 본체 망고제 함좀 하며 보여 막 따띠마서 주로 우리서 맞아 탐지 기때문에 군자 망세 남들이 학국에 남은 샤들 그 강쟁이 좀봐 양분 사게 변신스게 즉 이제 종가와 쓰는데 니 망세 남좀 쓰는데 강진 자랑 남심 무슨 동문이 잡을린 탐지를 따지고 남았지
So, 이게.
자기 버리다 네 제로 그치 종가와 친구 롱chen 남좀 자랑 남심 소리 딜런데 빨리 거치게 우리 뭐요 즉 사진제 동화로 시도는 종가와 영도 댐비다고 롱chenpa 강진 자랑 남서와 그 강진 쪽에 자랑 남 고스메스 빠지는 게 지금 직接에서 인디 다리 수제 하면로 여러분 또 우리 뭐 시간에 장서 특징 거 나로도 되게 다 지단계 근처 왕상 저승인데 탐색이 니마셔 때가 참지하고 우리래 있네요. 다 바르는 거 지금 우리 개와지 전에 쉬고 말고 어디에 되니 즉 그거 상대에 있는 근데 지금 인터스 여기는 다 당선 받는 지금 때 남들게 서로 망고제 이북스나 그 정도 거래 ini tenaga itu bisa nak Google tu nak lagi nak tadi nak cek, ini you share baca bukan ini orang cakap macam ke nak kerja bayu share. Tapi tu kalau你给我休息么过去，但是对就是话呢，我就是过去看着公交网站上什么的，启动孙家，然后这记录上面启动孙家，给的呢路过很多个的呢。예를 들면 중국에서 세계화를 때문에 이게 야블라니 템버트는 공개 야블라니 템버트는 중앙나 점사 소나 템사 점사 소나 그 유니체나 점사 소나 야긴 뭐 템버트 세계나 바닐라 근데 시동 순자 주메 예라 근데 의장 총알에서 네, 대충 이제 가나야 삼기 몇십개 때에서 뭐 하기 때문에 그렇게와 기고 가지 총이게 때 차상 왜나 말하는 순전 신경 좀 된데 때문에 림빅내가 보통하나 신식이 때문에 땡저기 계신 삼기미 다 남다만 뭐 열til다로나 때문에 뒤져 상도 말때 뒤져지네 때문에 총 때문에 총이 로직니기 때문에 가수야 지금 마다 한도 삼지기 엔진이 때문에 나와서 때문에 송점제 보내지기로 해요. 이만치 간대차서 방금 유문디 신다고 말하는 프라마 저거다가 신발. 근데 유문디 신갔다고 그러니까 신갔다고 되네. 신이 유마스기 기로 장인 텐데 또 유마이 선거를 이 유마이 그러니까 부디 챈네 펴니다. 되게 롱제랑 다와 쪽이네 제가 지금 좀 근데 지금 챈네. 딱 와서 별로 말 말하는 교회 있는 거 보고 아마도 가 쳐다보고 저렇게 보고 그런 거. 이 내가 대라 추추살았다. 이거 있어. 근데 보고대 신고 지나는 나도 신고를 좋아. 근데 정말 나야. 아마 내가 내가 추추고 저기 봐. 저로도 가 보고 저기 이제 나와 주 보고 이제 아마 나서 나도 그가 나도 저가 나서 보고 자세히 보고 가요. 보고 먹이 좀 신경 나비다. 아마 빼지 신경다 쉬우자. 남산 보는 말 처음도 그냥 보고가 들어서 배팅 on 거. 여기 하면서 당하고 스토리를 만든지 스토리는 원조를 빼미가 틀린 거지 신기 틀린 거지 나밖에 보고 뒤에 롱셰라는 방밖에 싫어나 태양 근데 유목감이나 그 강증에서 이렇게 생각하면 주기 때문에 낭중당에 남의 강틀의 유물이 좀 빼미게 잡신했어 이제 카페나 신기지대 지금 유물을 슈도슈도 테마이 나왔어. 대체적에 액자자티 균도티네. 롱chenpa 그래서 암준나 됐어.
So you're all very familiar with Longchenpa. He's, as well known as the sun in the sky. So there's really no need to say much about him. He is kind of the rock of the Nyingma teachings and tradition. If we forget Longchenpa, then it's like the Nyingma tradition is dead. Throughout Tibet, not to mention elsewhere, there are literally thousands of Nyingma monasteries. This and many of any of these great Nyingma institutions, all of them know Longchenpa, of course. It's not only the Nyingmas who are aware of Longchenpa, all the other traditions in Tibet as well, Kagyu, Gelug, Sakya, who acknowledge Longchenpa. There are said to be 3 masters who are sort of renowned and recognized throughout all of Tibet by all traditions. The great Sakya Pandita, Jeru Rinpoche's Tongkapa, and the omniscient Longchenpa. Padre Rinpoche wrote a beautiful verse of supplication to these 3 Rinpoche quoted the verse, I won't try to drag them a bit. You also all aware, no doubt, of Padre Rinpoche. Both the stories of both these life masters are so well known, so I won't say say much about them. Also, we lack time. But if you do want to learn more, there are many life stories of these masters and translated into English, and they are readily accessible. There's also information on the internet and so on. So there are many resources at your fingertips should you want to learn more. I'll just mention a very few things about Longchenpa, about his life. So he was born in 1308, according to the Common Era. He was born to his father, Tempa Drong, his mother, Drongso Sonamgyen, in central Tibet, or Itzon. When he was born, all the signs of enlightened being, a superior being, occurred, just as we see when the same sorts of signs that were seen when Buddha Shakyamuni was born to his mother, Lini. These are recorded and explained in their life stories. I won't go into it now. It's too much detail to cover in too little time. From his birth, Longchenpa was protected by Ekazati, the Dhamma protector Ekazati. She was constantly with him. One story to illustrate this: when Longchenpa was just a 6-month-old baby, his mother went out one day to till the fields. Poor families in Tibet in these sorts of areas, they often will take their children just strapped on their back with them wherever they go, right? Out of necessity, so whether they're going to collect water or to farm the fields, they take their babies with them. So with a 6-month-old Longchenpa strapped to her back, Longchenpa's mother went down to the fields to till them. She then sort of took him off her back and placed him down in like a little kind of crook, like a little area, and set out on her work. She was working really hard, labouring in the fields. When she finished her work, she actually forgot, about the baby, and she walked home. And only when she got home did she realise that she'd left her baby in the field. She thought, my goodness, where is my baby? What have I done to him? At that moment, out of the storeroom, the pantry or storeroom in the house, the door flung open, and out of the storeroom came this enormous, tall and imposing person holding an extremely long wooden sword in her lap. So that this tall, imposing woman holding a long wooden sword in her lap she was holding 6-month-old Longchenpa. So she then raised the sword and she scolded the mother. She said, "How dare you neglect this child? How dare you forget this child?" And she beat the mother twice with the sword. So that was an account of Ekasati.
That's being chosen.
Oh yeah. Tindu kata tindu je ke unne ke Longchen ram jam se ke Ekasati ke tindu ke tin ta ju nam ta wa le khorang ke ta tulku de ke de she ke la pe ma bu she ke ta Laranzo yonta ke je she ke ina tene kon tene ta Laranzo bima meta ke nam tu ni se ge ore tene tinne hin je ke ta che pe ma se nam tu ni se ge ore ta te kun ta je pe ma ka tan na pe mi ki sa de ore en guru bu shin nam tu yin ba re ta tindu ke te sam je che bi ke chen ta ba one ge ta chi one ge chi mi gi se ba chi wa tu je long che ram jum ge je ba te chi ne ge lo ge je ba de je ba anche mi dire te tende con ta con de jinda 신지기 등의 계산 담바르데 이는 나랑도 지금 나랑 밀을 때 벌써 미쳤던 나랑 줄었네 공김제 담때 벌써 미쳤고 스테네 공금에 춤도 가면 뭐 정나 때문에 로징나 와게 lok한데 캔 때니로 나고 때 삼일을 고정 제고정 지도 아무런 다 온지다 엄마니 지시에 되면 때는 로정도 또또 때때들 탐지 공도시 원로圈와 주주지도 배 동안 비대 양수 때 같은 통 슈중 근데 자 Tinti cha on ka tene di cha we kap so kawa mongo chen ta ti kong kawa chi ki kong kawa chi go yo ma ngarang to ti ton ta na zo kong lo ma ji ju to kawa chi go ta ti ton gi to na ra te tinti ki tene ko para kawa mongo chen je ne kawa mongo je tene sa gyu me pe me ki tene ul chu ge ru chu tene tene ni shi ta ji tam je tene da wa ri ri kawa sam ki tene na ta ba por wa kan je ni mo mongo ge tene ka pa chwa ke ren je tene yo la shu din da tele ko si ji ge da na sa sleeping bag sing sha da di sleeping bag na te pe chen ko lu pe pe chung bo tene na ro ngarang zo ge pu ge tene ka ngarang zo thang na di sing ja le ge wo sing ji ga zo to ge ne cha lo sa ge mu sing ji wa ge mu o ya tinje ji tene so ne o ge den de te ge ko lo ni ka chi ni chen ge mu la ma si ming pe ta ko ta ko ta ko ji nam de tinje ji de ma ge mu la ma si ming ko tinje ge tene pe na cho wa ke te na nyam chu tene shala ina tene church do le sana shala to na ne na ko na tu ga de tene pe che do sa tene ji ko mo ga dan do la so wa sa ni shin ji de ge jo na je ni church de ka wa da na da to na ha le o di no ne ji zun mi la de ka wa ji na hi ji tene gi chu gi che to ka wa che be shi na ba de ze ba le tene ka wa che che je su tene on pe mi par ka chen tene ta ti yuen den tam je sam ye lu ma wa se min ko de sam ye je de ta ki wan 여기 출시해서 때문에 치료도 삼이 나는 때문에 다 통해 삼이 너무하서 제가 되는 공부 pitch 니스터니 자숨지 굉장히 되게 가지고 있다 차 근데 개와 그 차원도 그렇게 공원에게 제 바깥에 다 배자생 같이 된다 예 공원하고 다 배치 나와서 생기서다 인지도 배자 다 배자 치고 이게 되게 또 공이 배자 신도 되게 쓰는 디사이드한테 콘테이션에 인사지 되게 다도 두바이 미치고 두고 선때 콘 두바이 게 폐업 제 두바이 잡라 폐업 두고 그만데 사기요 마다 콘다 되네 두바이 잡을 폐 람바 지라 미지 투네 교가도긴 lapto가 디레진 다들 주를 또 3년 주지 지고도 딱 이런 남자들 깨닫 쳤다 요마 개월에서 있다스 무슨 요마다 된 실로도 미 모시긴 지요마 엔도지 교가와서 나사지 대학교에서 나 티셔츠 폭포도 당들지 나라도 취해서 대사들의 여러 위해서 나타 담아서 컴바트 구들 가와야 아제 여러 이거 폭포지 여러 리트네 폭포한테 여러 삼 Ini dulu tidak soalnya dengan dasar berbeda, soalnya beragam kalau soalnya beragam probasi pe, memang cuman cuma berbaca, soalnya berkira lagi. Malah ini dulu ini jadi kan waktu jadi ini 신직이 jadi 진상 시작하고 malah siapa yang 전도, 그디신의 신직이 진상이 약속을 했지도, 우리가 잡아. 대단히 자식이었어. 그걸 러시아에 군진적 미시게 그럼 잠잠하지 시에도 어디 공항에 잠잠하지 저거 마시게 아니 그가 진짜거든 이 교도된 사기도 신경이 참여도 되고 스납스 아니 되게 됐대 공연처럼 대표도 그게 시작된데 좀때 포과도 가와이 포과도 하고 대대로 좀 내가 좀 맞는데 싶었어요 다 들었어
There's so many other stories like that from Longchenpa's childhood, so many. But yeah, I'll leave it there for today. Longchenpa was said to be an incarnation of Villain Richa. It's also said to be an incarnation of Pema Rigtsal. This is made clear in Pema Kata on the chronicles of Guru Rinpoche. Of course, he is an incarnation of Guru Rinpoche and so many others. So such is the nature of Longchenpa, this Buddha in person. The activities of this enlightened being are simply surpassable. They literally are inconceivable and indescribable. However, in spite of being this sublime awakened being, for the sake of us, his followers, in order to guide and influence us, then Longchenpa displayed, various phases of growing up, study, learning, and so on. So he went through his childhood, he was educated, taught how to read and write. He began to study the scriptures. He was a very diligent student. He went to Samye to study and studied very intensively and became extremely learned. Even by the age of 15 or 16, he had comprehension of the entire ocean of sutras and tantras. He studied incredibly diligently and intensely and became incredibly learned. he went through enormous hardship as well and austerities for the sake of his studies, his Dharma studies. Of course, he didn't need to undergo any hardship, right, for his own benefit. He didn't need to do anything for himself. But he displayed all these acts, did these things to, it seems, to show us the way, right, to guide and influence us. For instance, while he was studying, the years he was studying, he had barely enough food to sustain himself. He would sort of live off tiny medicinal pills, and he would make, one bowl of sampa barley flour, which would be one meal. He would make that last like an entire month or something. In terms of his bedding, he didn't have any proper bedding. These days we talk about sleeping bags, right? But sleeping bags are actually very luxurious. They're filled with down or other stuff. So Longchenpa's bed, his mattress and blanket both, he had a simple, a single stuffed sack that he would both lie on and then wrap over him as blanket. So that was the way in which Longchenpa lived while he was studying. Of course, he could have chosen just to take a break and go out and collect alms. That would have been very possible. He could have gone out and gathered food and necessities, but that would have impeded his studies, right? He would have to have taken a break from his studies, and he didn't want to do that. So such the hardships he underwent, really just like the Yogi Milarepa, enduring so much hardship for the sake of Dharma. He reached the point where he was so incredibly learned, he just surpassed everyone. Yeah, he was unsurpassed in his learning, and he became known as Samye Lungmangwa, which means like the most learned person of Samye. This was around the age of 22 or 23. He'd already reached this pinnacle of learning. But then at some point he thought to himself, we came to think, just studying the scriptures is not enough. I need to practice as well. So he thought, came to think, probably I've studied enough now I will leave and go off and focus on my practice. So he had this thought for our benefit, right, as sort of to influence us. So then he left Samye and he set out on foot set out on a journey to find somewhere to practice. Some way along the road he met someone. That person said, where are you going and what are you doing? And he replied, oh, I'm looking, I'm going out to practice, I'm looking for somewhere to practice. Longchenpa had kind of developed a name for himself in Samye, right? He was known as the most learned person in Samye, but outside Samye he was not known at all. So there was no recognition here. Longchenpa asked this person, this stranger on the road, are there any caves or, good like caves or overhangings where one might practice over in this area? And the person said, yeah, there are. And then Longchenpa said, do you think the local people like to provide me with alms, food, donate for some food for my sustenance? And he said, yeah. In the past, it was like that in Tibet, right? The Tibet was so generous in supporting practitioners. So the person on the road then said, actually, I need a fire puja done. Do you know a yamataka fire puja done? Do you know how to do that? And of course Longchenpa knew how to do everything. There was nothing in the world he didn't know how to do. So of course he said, yes, I can do that. And then the person said, oh, well, if you can do this fire puja for me, I'll sponsor, I'll provide you with food. So he then showed Longchenpa into his cave, and Longchenpa settled in the cave and began to practice.
Pagine to parent books, that day, and that thing you did not the thing to give him the day, that he can't put it to one, not better, but you do. The can't put you to money young Masitam Wina Kojiva, the chicks and Tamovina, and the Saruka, Saruta, the mobile take ever show me. In a cannon was going on from nothing of that on a pay, in 670 pay, she saw it. Lola, Japote, the number and the sham, the number, pastor was in the laptop. In a Kivu doesn't put in our soon, they soon talk with a number Maricon, in a tongue, which you wrote information. 먼저 뜻증이 되는 약다 심리학의 패고 그랬어. 근데 공부 들어가 직성도 그한테 지sun dum이 거의 말이 인지 제목에 캔. 근데 공부 차 탈모자 때 지진 좀 또 소라마지 땅도 그만 다리 저저저저저저저 느낌 받은 놈처럼 인지 제목은 되는데 네 지진 좀 맞게 패스. 근데 아무튼 때에 공부 눈을 펴다 때 인지 제목이 지진 dum이 샤워 토바도 쉼샤스 봐. 쉼이 때는 지진 좀 맞네. 가서 미들 밀라가나지 깨져셔네. 때는 지금 송도 강 때는 지진 좀 맞게 딱 다른 켜때는 뺀 미기다 연된 친구들 감면서 켜야 돼. 이나야 그런 게 때는 새롭게 넘어디 네 연된 친구 꾸마는 자리에 다른 켜니로 변화 다른 켜기 때문에 지금도 그런 거 새롭게 넘어디 때문에 꾸마는 자리 꾸마를 자리 켜는 그 스템이 저도 담지 제네 저거 친구들 나도 치고 해서 그냥 무대 처음이었어. 때는 뒤에 꾸마는 자리 뭐라 꾸마는 자리 제가 쇼다 인사를 saying 게 뒤에 딱 오는 게 처럼 되게 꾸마는 자리 또 보네. 근데 그한테는 꾸마라가 사페페스. 뒤에 손도 키보다서 지금 샤프가 미기 티안자도 추리가 많이 비고 내 손. 인지가 아랑게도 손도 아주 원리게 군진 친구다. 캠보다서 무슨 뺀 미기 지금 나와서나 투표기네 뺀 미기 실업딩 사고 이렇게 뭐 근데 나와 샤스페스.
Longchenpa settled into this cave. He started practicing there, and a few days after he'd been practicing there, early in the morning, the sky filled with some clouds, and then on these clouds appeared a yellow horse. In the written biography of Longchenpa, it says a yellow horse, but when Khenpo Daza Rinpoche told us this story, he said a blue horse. So anyway, on this blue horse with turquoise bridle and saddle and beautiful, bridle with beautiful adornments, turquoise saddle. Riding on this horse with the turquoise saddle was a beautiful woman, absolutely beautiful woman. The reason I mentioned that Khenpo Daza Rinpoche said a blue horse instead of, even though it says a yellow horse in the written biographies, just that I just have such vivid memories of hearing this story, in person from Khenpo Daza Rinpoche, and I heard it first from him orally before I actually read the written account. So yeah, it's such a vivid memory that I think of the blue horse that he mentioned, but really whether it was a yellow horse or a blue horse, there's a horse with this beautiful turquoise saddle upon which rode a beautiful woman. And they were approaching Longchenpa, riding along the clouds. Longchenpa saw this, and he recognized that this stunning woman, the stunning girl, was Tara, the noble lady Tara. And then he just prayed and prayed, supplicated with one pointed faith. And as he did that, then Tara, riding this horse, approached him closer and closer and closer, until he was right in front of Longchenpa. Longchenpa then touched the crown of his head to her feet, and he wept. And the two of them could talk just like two people meeting in person. Tara said to Longchenpa, he said, you've become very learned, and and you have many great qualities already. This is wonderful, but you have not yet met your destined guru. You're destined for a karmically connected guru as Kumaraja. You need to go and meet him. You need to receive instructions from him. Have all your doubts out through, and then train in the true nature of mind. When Longchenpa heard Kumaraja's name, he felt some very special connection, and he really felt this is true. This must be my destined guru. So just as Tara had advised, he then went out to search for this guru. When Khenpo Daza Rinpoche would tell the story, he would weep. He would just weep. So there just a constant flow of tears. When talking about Longchenpa, when telling this story and talking about Longchenpa, that was always the case, and that made me think that there was must have been a very special connection between Khenpo Daza Rinpoche's mind and that of Longchenpa.
ini Longchenpa de kumara za tungil fe te kumara ta ti lori shen pe mangol la ta ti nam tra shiu kyang ge wa ta ma ta ngi de la ma tham je ting mi do ta bu ke je shen ta Tene kunkunjina kumaraza kumaraza, tene wang chizu mingtiki wang chizu chatang sen, gomba nama da rochi tikyo, ngone ge toba namka da nyamba changne tene kunjin chimbu ki korpara, tene zubdun tang tuzo tamji de deyar zebar, kansa sana kangri toka lan zene, kangri toka la kang, tene ze wone kapsu, tene shugu da nasa yanji ji digi, tene masa tamsung ki digwa ma, ngarang migi tene, dide chigyo mare, tene napsa shugu zogenda, shugu tene kong na geta, napsa ta, 이게 되게 감지했더니 마사 당중 그때는 나셔로 놀기요. 근데 진짜는 되는 조준제 민들이 yap시 담지게 때팝 민들이 때비게 따고 또 공원에 임발했더니 라마게 룸때 공항게 때 공방은 지시에네. 다 놀기시나 상임이 제시게 따디 너네 나랑 놀을 미시를 놀게. 근데 너네게 yap시게 왕도 손도 가 킹코르드네 야르게 텐터 마지 왕샹 왕게 때네 공게 때네 진법들은 나도 마다 감지 미 코는 탐지를 통조를 때 남각게는 마다 캄보디아에서 배운 거다 왕 그러다 디네스 사자 탐지 왕 보사 탐지 지심이 칸에 나 텐딩게 지려 다단전이 계속 사인이 니지도 디마신고 탐지 말씀 잡더니 이시가 다든지 남칼로 되는 거랑 저는 다직배 야 디네कर para tinjigi din tingjo ke wang na de kana mi re de grana re mi re de ni i시가 하데 무슨 때문에 랑 팀들이나 다왕은 남겨서 기타 tinjigi 보고서 당선 들려 제원나 다시 가시가시도 여기 나도 레마다 동거지만 대인데 그런 때 tinjigi 왕 안남 근데 tinjigi 잡았어 김이죠 때니 코로나 인다 상기 미쳐버 다시 단다 버도 근처는 이제 ramjum getene song gizite kin 많이 받다 되대요. 군진 신부게 아전 미팅 거 잡고도 지금 군진 신부게 생태와 담제 아전문이 류 지금 왜 지금 답변게도 수금 매력에 가르니 쇼게 되고다. 민이 치마 동기도 단다 요래. 진짜티 군진 신부게 지지때 많이 되고 추기 지나도 많이 답는데요. S 아직 로기신 팅 빼미셔게 당인들 마셔도 마도게 남들 그냥 시에나 되게 청사마래.
So Longchenpa then went off to seek out Kumaraza. He managed to meet Kumaraza, receive instructions from him, and so on. It's actually a very long story account of all of this. I don't remember every detail, but even if I did, we don't have time. I'm not going to go into that sort of further details. But the shortcut of the story is Longchenpa did meet Kumaraza, received teachings from him. The realization emerged inseparably. And after that, then, in that same place, actually, Kongrei, it was there that Longchenpa composed his 7 treasuries. When composing his 7 treasuries, it wasn't like human endeavor or effort. Actually, even the paper that he wrote on, the ink that he used, all of this was provided and prepared by Ekisaki Damshin and Doji Tekba, Maza Damson, and you say that correctly, by those 3 protectors. So it was not a human endeavor. At that same place as well, Longchenpa revealed or received the treasured teachings of the Nyingtik Yamshi. The stories around this are honestly difficult to conceive, difficult to fit in our minds. There's so many extraordinary accounts of how this all happened and what happened around Longchenpa, these terms. After revealing the Nyingtik Yamshi, when Longchenpa would then transmit those teachings with the respective empowerments to his students, he would actually manifest the mandala visibly, directly to everyone present. When performing the center blessings and the empowerment, the deities would actually be visible to the naked eye. The air would be filled, infused with fragrance, scent like sandalwood, and when performing the center blessings, a wisdom deity, like a visible wisdom deity, would actually dissolve through the crown into each and every recipient of the empowerment. Indeed, that is actually what should happen when empowerment is bestowed. It seems that's not the case these days. Who knows? Maybe there are some people with pure enough karma to actually, be perceiving that, experiencing that. The students, Longchenpa's students, his many students were just inconceivable. And anyway, like I said, shortcut here. I'm not going to say more about his extraordinary life and life story, but the majesty and blessings of Longchenpa's teachings, they remain present up till this day without any decline. even someone like me, without any good qualities, even I am moved just by the sound of his name, just by the thought of him. It moves me like physically. It brings tears to the eyes. Such is the majesty, the ever-present majesty of Longchenpa and his teachings.
Then do long around the ship to look at better they take down than a cigar marshal you too. A better they can the title of Longchenpa as to do without the better care to go. Oh, democracy, to do your own democracy. Better than that, you don't go to. The good thing is of Mila. Can I do this?
Another story from all about Dzogchen Khenpo to Tenyenjak. He was like a pretty much unsurpassed master of his time, great Dzogchen scholar and practitioner. There were very few who equaled him in his time. Anyway, he had a library, his personal library full of scriptures, various scriptures. But from among all his scriptures, he was always sure to place the Longchenpa's 7 treasuries at the very top. So of course all the scriptures were wrapped very respectfully in cloths, as the traditional pecha are. But for the Longchenpa's 7 treasuries, he would use cloths made of the finest Chinese brocade, the very best he could possibly get. He would have them wrapped up meticulously in these brocade cloths and then placed on the very top of the stack in the library. Sometimes when his attendants would take out scriptures, take books down, and then if they were careless to place another scripture on top of a volume of the 7 treasuries, he would scold them and say, no, you mustn't place anything on top of the 7 treasuries. You will accumulate negative karma. Take that text off. And he was just insistent that the 7 treasuries are always on the top and no other teaching ever be placed above them.
Oh, that is Lama Tachimbo, Lama Tamjiki, the Kunchin Chimbu Sundas, because the Dingchibuchigas, some Gimichibigi Dingchibuchigas.
So that's just an example of the degree of regard isn't a sufficient word, the degree to which Nyingma Lamas across the board regard the teachings of Longchenpa as just inconceivably blessed and precious.
Pero kunchen longchen jal manyung ya zopin tira tabache zopin tira jal kunchen chebo solata on de kon tukju goba rashin gi pöde ki pesha ga ina kunchen chebo ge tene tukju gi chila pone jingmi ring bataw jingmi ring bo lobjong shil chim nyung yo marse do nyung lobjong nyung man nang yo lobjong nyung de nang ne ya tene kon pe losun ji shu de di kon zopin jal lobjong de ta ya o jaten kunchen chebo la tepa sangi no gi tepa ji solaba ta de nyima ji kunchen chebo usu tene shal ja 이와 데네송데 데네 거스 체제 담지 걸메친 바다 미스코 치자메 지미 링바스게 나타가 차기 콩그테네 조빌 잘 온디가 kunchen 보게 된 투지기 제일 소위기 때문에 지미 링바 나 지미 링을 지시고 담지대 지미 링을 먹하잖아 근데 지미 링바도 오야 데네 거바 또 온서 하준 쳔보 내 좀다 그룹을 좀 오일 때웠다 지금이 썸기 메케비 좀 콩 kunchen 온데나 좀 비샤스스 플라카 Ini ngari pendi tapi mau orang kerja tu, tas samji micawa munegi tahu, dan tu kami lurju dia siapa samji mi, konya kunjin cempu kerja so. Renzin jasa ni pun, dorang ni pun tapi jasa, tak kong kerja cuma kita tapi tamsi kunjin cempu kerja macam lu semua tu kerja mi bo, itu tidak jenis kerja. Ngarang tu contoh dunjum lingba lah yang ni kalau Longchenpa dalam kerja zik tahu. Teni kamu ni gitu, kunjin cempu tu kompani semua berkilau. Tapi dorang tu manggu ya, Sydney mana jatuh. Ini tu kalau kunchen Longchenpa ramjam segala gitu ni sendiri rezim tahu jom mare karo gitu title deu tahu deu tinggal jual ni mare oni jom cendek kunchen mampu juga ni kunchen cakap kena gitu ni cendek tak tidak ni pengalam sesama tamu tapi malu macam soin nare tinajing kunchen kubatur tu soin nare barang dia soin lama cembut dasaran macam nare di nare cembut cekik barang macam nare 그래서 저기 냠는 게 그런 거라는 냠는 게 para 지금 틀지사 되게 저기를 했대요. 지금 민과야에 바로 뭐지야 그래. 저기 냠는 게 시샤사 때문에 저기를 시다 때는 자서 다음에 요 선님이 저요 있나야 카스하고 진짜 미로 뭐 저랑서 kun진체고 소라마라 그냥 딱 되나야 이마지 진짜 유튜브에서 음악나 전부 다스는 무조건이나 최영조 때 캠프 다스는 무조건이 쉬이 이 다단가서 생대 콩데스 최영조 네 본다케는 무조건 본다케는 뭐지 데 무슨 롱도 그때 강생가라서 캠프 나서 불러마 캠프 나서 데 임시 롱도로 빠르는 거지 그러마 빠르는 거지 데 되네 그러 지미 겨윈이 그러마 지미 그러마 진짜 그렇게 나라서 주반이요 주반 지랍지야지 이 주비기 지랍을때 마르다 사무다마테네 디테네 가서 최윤저디 빼미기 지랍 내가 아픈 것도 최윤저 쉬어 내가 레미도 제가 이거 못 쳐도 나와줘서 칠성 나도 티게 빼미 힘을 다든 빼켜오신 거 가리 겹나 뭐네게 빼미기 저 이하고 어디요 쌤가 시험이고 빼미기 지랍지 가서에 내가 지금 고민이다 지금 돌아고 돈들이 제가 그 인지계잖아 experience 있어서 냠님도 있어서 용미 이 걔는 뭐지 쉬인 근데 좀 쉬인들 아도 차도 다른 지금 이거 쉬우지면도 세계니 거기인데 우리도 가와게 그 subject를 계속으로 거기인데 제가 나랑 같이 거기 원래 샘통식 샤 보지도 샤를 tinche 거기도 이 배가 우투니 에 나란전에 지금 나를 거기에 우투 계지요 다 띵이 쉬을 자고 이렇게 보다 좀 그래서 다 교회가 막 군체로 사람 좀 주발을 때문에 서로 때문에 좀 주긴 군주기 신라 거기 그런 게 신다 맞아요. 그런 추인 저게 싸워디 따바르신데 군진 좀 서로만 그냥 보다가 니마지 교회 때문에 리바트 라몬이 리바트 지기게 메라는 뭐 처음 들에서 홍마들까지 나왔어. 얘네들 라서서가 얘네다 주발이 배상고를 가다 쓰기는 시스템이 왜 캠보 막수는 이슈로 너는 거기 빠지고 도신 지미를 걸기 발들어서 라만 테라상 보다 나라 레비는 지하고 메르마도 단치고서 나 이제 때문에 되는 진이 봐 따와디만 되니 제 따버렸는데 싸웠는데 나 먹으면 다 긴긴 뭐 마음다 캠보다서를 붙이다 또 따자빌라만 먹는 거 사람만 따네 근데 니마 가시지만 안 될라미기 싫으면 니마 정문에 지 미남들 나오지 지금 군인시보다 짠잘 먹는데 미남 나 지금 지각 신부 지금 샤랑 채우시고 지금 땅에 그들을 제사래 되지 나온들 되는 지금 쌤모들이 하고는 오다 되래도 아 삼비도 지금 인치랍 좀 땅에 대야 신부다 쌤모 지금 지랍 나 롱생람 저기 지랍 레이서 되래 인디가 왔다 띵아다 차시 땅 신진지 되래네 무슨 마도네 고아 주무지 되기게 군진 챔피언십 민로서 하나 되잖아 일단 하더라도 dunjul 무제라 이제 남자 샤스토리와 누구 ken제를 무제라 군인 샤스토리와 도주를 무제라 또 여기 당아지 또 여기 앞에 남들 찍고 와서 누구 ken제를 dunjul 무제라 누구 기 가서 군인 샤스토리를 이렇게 준 것도 맞아 그 또요 남들 신 뭐 거를 근데 이는 어디 좀 세틀랜드로 무슨 롱젠한 좀 넘주를 롱젠한 좀 샤스를 터비요 어떤 인제 인도가 말아서 기바데 토모 많이 바인바지다 티카르스나 저들라 대바치고 샤나야 저바신도 그렇게 그렇게 근데 티리시 또골롱도 그렇게 다다 이페마고 샤서 지금 메링바 또 같은 단가 지금 그거리 펜데 페마 오비기알로 그래서 진짜 주님 몰라서 어떤 일이죠 땡기가 나라서 감지한 거네 자, 두준도 거기 감보도 가와서 그래. 어야 까마가 대바야 보셔. 쉐르 대바야 보셔. 담직 약속 그래. 담직이 계속 웨스트디 담직이 약속하고 쏜 거서 막 근데 둘다 다 최대 톱 이제 자라도 배샤도 더 디칼린 루텐데 지지를 갖다 바바이 까까서 인도 대신이네. 근데 제가 슈디게 팬토가 그냥 뇌 뒤에 담직 냠자잖아. 사람들 같이 준비. 팬을 뇌셔 더 그냥가요. 담직이 약속나 군진신보다 대바야 보셔. 라마다 쉐르 놓다 마셔. 대바야 보셔나. 군진신보기 지납때 색상 마인바기 인부당 주부 마인바기 랑기 줄라 그렇게식 군진신보 기초를 스티커서 좀 쇼스 아니 좀 많이 뒤에가 잡는 스틱
So through Longchenpa's teachings, by receiving these teachings of Longchenpa, not just hundreds, but literally thousands of practitioners have come to realize the great perfection, have come to manifest natural awareness or Rigpa. If we have faith in the 7 treasuries, we have genuine faith in the 7 treasuries, and with that faith we supplicate Longchenpa, then it is possible that then we can invoke Longchenpa's enlightened blessings and receive those blessings through the strength of our faith and through the strength of our prayer. One example of this happening is Jigme Lingpa. Jigme Lingpa actually didn't have much formal education. He wasn't very learned at all. But he wanted to practice. He went on a 3-year retreat, and he'd encountered the 7 treasuries with Longchenpa. He had enormous faith in Longchenpa. In this figure, Longchenpa, really confident that he was the Buddha in person. And so as he practiced, he would pray to Longchenpa, really pray ardently to him with great faith. And then one day he had a direct vision of Longchenpa, met him face to face, received his blessings, and then his realization dawned. And yeah, that's Jigme Lingpa. No need to say more about him. You're all familiar with Jigme Lingpa. You're all students of Jigme Lingpa. Another instance from among the great Nemo masters is Longchenpa. He was Guru Rinpoche in person. He also had a vision of Longchenpa. And we also have Larry Pandita. He was this unsurpassed, learned and accomplished master in Tibet. He too received a vision of Longchenpa. The same with Rizin Jasim Ningpo. And actually, from among the 108 Teratans, all the Teratans who appeared after Longchenpa had direct visions of Longchenpa. Pretty much all of them. Likewise, the Haruka Dijamika, he was inseparable with Longchenpa. Inseparable from Longchenpa. So this is the case not just with like 1 or 2 or these 3 masters I've mentioned, but with just countless, so many masters have had visions of Longchenpa and received his blessings. We call Longchenpa the omniscient or all-knowing Longchenpa. This is not just like an empty title. It's not just a label given for no real reason. We call him the all-knowing one because he literally is all-knowing. Such are the qualities of Longchenpa. Whether we look at, if I look at my own root gurus, Khenpo Dazo Rinpoche and Khenpo Chögyal Rinpoche, one of their teachers, Pablo Tulku, and so on, one of the recent lineage masters, the heart of all of their practice was none other than Longchenpa's 7 treasuries. The same goes for the great Mipa Rinpoche and so on and so forth. Longchenpa's 7 treasuries are so unique in their clarity, their profound clarity, and the incredible strength of their blessings, such that if we pray to Longchenpa with genuine faith and pray to these teachings, we can, just through the strength of our prayer, receive their blessings. This really is possible. This is a special quality of Longchenpa and this lineage. When I received, I had the great good fortune to receive the oral transmission and also detailed instructions on the treasury of Dhammadhatu from my root guru Khenpo Dazo Rinpoche. He had received it from his root guru Plinda Khenpo, who received from Polo Khenpo, who received from Khenpo Makcho,
Yes.
who received from
Ushilwanda.
and who received from Kakibenshi, who received from Jimmy Gyo and Yuru, who received from Jimmy.
Jigme Lingpa. That's the destination.
That's the destination, the source. So an incredible lineage and also a very short one. So I received the transmission and teachings. I was over the course of several months actually, very detailed teachings from Khenpo Dazo Rinpoche on the treasury of Dhammadhatu. Such incredible fortune. However, as the teachings went on, I was understanding everything. I had a lot of faith in the teachings and the teacher, and I was understanding everything on the word level. Very thoroughly what the words meant, how it all fit together. I could explain it. I got the outline, and so on and so forth. But I wasn't getting any special experience, personal experience, which is what we need, right? Actually some felt recognition. And towards the end, as the teachings were coming to an end, I actually went to Khenpo Daza Rinpoche and I told him this. It was really an act of desperation, because I just didn't know what else to do. I just admitted to him, I'm understanding everything intellectually on the word level, but up till now, like no deeper recognition or experience has arisen in me. So obviously, the lineage is so blessed, but it must be my lack of good karma. What should I do? Khenpo Daza Rinpoche said, don't worry at all, this is not a problem, it's fine. Just keep on praying to Longchenpa, recite the Treasury of Dhammadhatu every day, and just keep on praying to Longchenpa with genuine faith. And sooner or later you'll receive his blessings, without a doubt. He said, it's not a problem, just keep doing that and rest easy. He said this is a special quality of this lineage, that through supplication the blessings can be received. So I did exactly what he said. I started reciting the Treasury of Dhammadhatu every day and really praying. Really praying. And I was confident that this instruction would work, because even though due to my lack of good karma I hadn't had any special experience up till that point, I felt confidence in the blessings of the lineage, right? I thought it's just my own karma obscuring me, but actually the blessings are really there. So I applied this instruction for several days in a row. I recited the text with a lot of faith. I really just made intense supplications. Then after a few days, a night in my dream, I had an experience. I won't tell the story in detail. I already shared this story in my book actually, but basically I had a very frightening dream, and through that sort of intense fear, I gained some recognition, recognition, and through that blessings, the blessings of Longchenpa. And I felt that I didn't have a vision of Longchenpa or anything like that, but just an experience of intense fear through which I gained some kind of recognition, and in that sense, the blessings of Longchenpa. So the blessings of Longchenpa and also my root guru Khenpo Daza Rinpoche, that's how I saw it. So of course, the blessings I received in that case were just a little drop, because that according to my capacity, but still that drop was the blessings of Longchenpa, no doubt. Like I said, all the great masters have had visions of Longchenpa, including the late Dodro Rinpoche and Tulku Pema Rigtsal. There is actually quite detailed accounts of how they had their visions of Longchenpa. Dodro Rinpoche, the late Dodro Rinpoche, I presume he must also have had visions of Longchenpa, right? I haven't heard stories about it, but he was Dodro Rinpoche, so must have had. Dorje Chininobu Rinpoche, he himself was an emanation of Longchenpa. He also had visions of Longchenpa. So this is really the special qualities of this lineage, the lineage of Longchenpa, that there is this a kind of gateway to the blessings through prayer and supplication. By praying to Longchenpa, we can receive his blessings and come to recognize directly through ourselves. So this is the kind of the nature, the blessed nature of the teachings that we're talking about, right? These 7 treasuries, the words of Longchenpa. The fact that you've received the transmissions for these teachings is an extraordinary fortune. You also received them from a great teacher. It's important, in addition, to maintain one's samaya, right? So we need to receive the precious teachings from genuine teachers, but we also need to maintain our samaya. And it seems this is often difficult in the West, in Western situations. A lot of people don't really uphold their samaya correctly. People go to teachings almost like they're just going out to buy something. They go to a teaching, they get it, and then just like you bought something from a store, you then wave goodbye, and that's it. Like that's the end of the connection. That's not the way to proceed. Samaya is a sacred commitment, and sacred commitment and connection, and that needs to be honored and maintained. Just to reiterate, we need to engender faith. Also, be very careful about maintaining our samaya. And then, like I said, pray just Longchenpa with faith and devotion. And then the qualities of Longchenpa are such that if we do that, the blessings, the warm and very ever-present blessings, will enter us. We will feel them. That's it.
당연히 저거 저기 여기 고발하니 저기 동시 때 뒤뒤가는데 셰퍼 이야기 했더니 인지 돌려 말해 indica perché torni sempre piace e titolo della ne che andava a cambiare l'ora che come di male titolo digital ma trascrizione ci male ci che per casa vuol dire casa le routine per mi macchi che va senza scegliere te tenaio sai te menna ya di concezione 좀 tentare curata che boda na sammango shoyo 탐지 찍리 찍혀라 것도 뭐도 제대로 탐지게 되는 제와 제와 되는 요지 되는 거 때렸으면 되게 얘기하는 제와 잡혔지 요다티 오디오 나는 요데 할 때에 오늘의 프로젝트 들으려면 제게 인스톨만 줄은 많니까 밑에 스테이크 파마 줄은 진짜게나 택틱 패키나 사고다 가서보다 들려야 되는 게 주제 통통에 되는 게 아주 또 뭐냐면 점기 남던 거 똑똑하고 시에바래 걔네가 또 그것도 그거 이제 또 상무를 시에바래 팀마토게 네 제가 하나 되시구나 걔네 팀마가 밑에 셰셰셰스 에 텐토라 투시다 단단 투시지 канал스나 슈상 진짜 파도 군기 또 교수 같이 결세 파는 또 위신들의 만디때 법 위신들의 요렇게 쓰다 있음. 근데 방송에서는 슈상 진짜스 답을 듣고 이래게 되는 다고 이신저들의 이제 특정들의 최인저들 같은 이거 본 제가 잡차. 근데 저를 잡는 차사야 말이 뭐티 그 가사로 쉬고요. 근데 기동이 지시해봐. 기동이 지시해니까 슈상 진짜 파도 군기 또 다 쉬운 저 비즈니스가 되겠어 봐. 뭐 빠르게 가지고. 이제 저는 파수꾼 게또 파파다. 지금에 망고요. 이제 봐봐요. 장선 봐봐요. 상계 봐봐요. 파파 탐지게 툭해라. 딱 툭서는 만약에 딜을 하고 보시면 봐도요. 무슨 가지 자세 파수꾼 파마게 또 비신들이 말대tes. 데비 상계, 마음비 상계, 다티 상계. 디아한테 상징같이 탑지에 디아 상징 단계로서 탐지게 약하게 두신자들 보여기 때문에 걸어 두신자죠 약하게 인신심도 게 보여기는 진심도 야라서 다다다다는 것만 되지 마 그래서 탐지게 또 이거 찍고서 주셔야 또 와디 좀 전에서 무슨 것이 자세 파파기 또 비신 딜을 마치지 딜을 하고 주셔지 좀 나는 하고 주셔지 딱 잡을 가와 뒤순기 상징 상기 세단 제가 탐지기 때문에 공부 빌라 요마레스 속에서래 빠르는 게 있었다티 좀 이쪽으로 콩콩 힘 비지기 때문에 하고 다 접든기 퀄리티를 강해 하고 나도 나기 지지기 근데 하고 말어 에르나스테리 알려준다 간절히 다이먼스 근데 무슨 당치를 다이먼 코랑을 되네 심주 지경이다 다이먼 코랑 퀄리티 하고 지금 다이먼 밸류도 하고 그러마도 나도 나지 지금 다이먼 가지고 이거 하고 두고 말어 최종 가지고 퀄리티 가지고 공간하고 이유가 진나신기 접든 나신기 때문에 유연된다 접든 그런 게 퀄리티도 하고 근데 원천은 좀 그런 자세지고 대지 기대 하고 이니까 다 뒤에 진짜 잡고 빠르는 무슨 나왔어요 빠르는 게 있어래 이 두순가 지가서 방금 또 비신들의 만대에 제가 탐지기 때문에 상계라는 뭔가 들 때는 상계 줘야 하루도 공부해야 되래. 어야. 이인도가 어야. 파비 신들이 요렇게 단 딜라스지 공나게 요렇게 깬데서 건조 숨쓰게 되었어. 다만서 벽이 그냥 저샤는 숨쓰게 되. 이제 이제 나게 안 돼. 파비 신들이 요렇게 초숨 용속 추비추 파비 신들이 요렇게 건조 숨요 말에 단 딜라바티 공나게 한.
So, yeah, we won't say anything more about that now. To move on to the explanation of the text. In the past, actually, I taught this exhortation to read the 7 treasuries in a lot of detail. So I gave the transmissions of all 7 treasuries by monastery, and then in conjunction with that, I taught this exhortation by Pater Rinpoche in quite a lot of detail. At the time, this interpreter wasn't available, unfortunately, but it would be good if that could be translated into English in the future. I think there's a lot more detail there, and that could be helpful, give you more details, more idea, more clarity. Of course, there are so many other Khenpas and Lopans and very learned teachers these days, very learned and with great perfection, also giving detailed and lucid explanations. Pater Rinpoche's text in his exhortation, he So like I said, I'm not going through it kind of word by word, bit by bit, but he goes through in the earlier parts of the text, he goes through each treasury, the treasury of the natural state and so on and so forth, and kind of highlights and praises the extraordinary qualities of each of those treasuries. I'm not going to go through those parts of those words of Patrul Rinpoche, so we just don't have enough time. But at the end, Patrul Rinpoche says some concluding words where he Lord's praise on all 7 treasuries. He says, these 7 treasuries, she says, these excellent scriptures or these excellent teachings referring to the 7 treasuries. They are the heart of all noble beings. There are different types of noble beings, right? Bodhisattvas, Shravas, enlightened ones, and so on. So these 7 treasuries are the heart of all noble beings of the 3 times, so of past, present, and future, the heart of all of the enlightened ones of past, present, and future. For instance, we can, the Buddhas of past, present, and future, they could be subsumed pretty much in like the 84 monasteries of India, the 8 Vidyadharas of India and Tibet, and so on. The essence, the essence and heart of their realization, their awakened minds, is none other than these 7 treasuries. So that the essence of the realization of all of these realized beings is contained within Longchenpa's 7 treasuries. Therefore, there is nothing greater. There is no greater. There is no greater teaching. There is also nothing. There is no teaching that teaches something that's not taught in here, whether it be in India or in Tibet. And all the countless teachings that have been spread throughout India and Tibet, all of the teachings taught by the heirs of the Buddha, or the Buddhas. The 7 treasuries contains everything, and there is nothing surpasses it. Such are the qualities of these teachings, Patrul Rinpoche says. So this is highlighted, these superior qualities are highlighted by Patrul Rinpoche. Patrul Rinpoche is someone who is qualified to recognize the quality of Longchenpa's teachings. In order to actually recognize quality in something, oneself needs a certain understanding of quality, right? Like if you're say, let's use the mundane example of diamonds. If, you take someone who knows nothing about gemstones, nothing about diamonds, they're not going to be able to recognize a fake from a real diamond or like a lower class diamond from the higher class diamond. It takes someone with learning to recognize quality in their respective fields. The same goes with Longchenpa. Just ordinary people like us, we're not actually capable of recognizing the unique superior qualities of Longchenpa's teachings, which is not up to the job. You need someone on par with Longchenpa to recognize the sort of the quality of his teachings, and such a person is Patrul Rinpoche. So that we see Patrul Rinpoche then sort of summarizing the superior, extraordinary qualities of Longchenpa's 7 treasuries with this verse. He then says, my translation is a very loose, like paraphrasing, but he says, the ultimate state of enlightenment, the consummate state of enlightenment, is realized through these 7 treasuries. And he says, there's nothing greater than this. Enlightenment is to be realized through this. And then he swears. It's like, we say in Tibet, it's not, in Tibetan, it's of course not a very good thing, but we say like, I swear on the 3 jewels, or I swear on the Joe statue, Joe Buddha. He says like, I swear, that basically just to show like the veracity of his statement. That's
Oh yeah.
Right.
한입하디 간송으로서나 초순비용소 축구 저동이 여러 관계 시술라라면 군진라면 또빈다로데 딜라 자지 딜라 수제 티바타마이 단디 페미기소레 디인디카나 초순비용소 축구 저동데 초순서나 산지 본적 셔본적 딘딘 본적 순스다 본적 순나나 마디에 사단 남기 남샤 탐지게 본적 순나나 마디에 요마 이에디가 초순 용도서 본적 순 뒤사디가 되니 마디에 제가 매인디가 기존 탐지게 직 뒤와디 가와라 뒤되었으나 산지 축이 고스긴데 뒤되 담마다 고스긴데 이에디가 산지 탐지 중고대야 런중거리 빠데 축이 고리 이에디가 초순 용도 축이 저동네 산지게 땀바탕지 용수 접었대 이 최고로 접어야래 접든 생인데 최기 꼬래 수기고 말에 Maranzo Zu was the grand singing the Baka Surgeon to go to certain damning is what you get the good out of Thailand. So, make a gonse with that, which you want to do. Kind of million billion niggers. In there, that's show it. Tito Marilla, Maranzo get over the Zedo Mare, Suku Nabachito Mare, didn't Chugu. When they get in the Temper country in the Chugu, Chodon Sanata Marato, Chabafusa, Sigurusha, Yamnensa, oh, yeah, to come on to Kursa. But it should Chapas in the Yapre Mongolia, Chabas and the Samju can be deal with the Kodel, in Jamare, Chapas, Jujala, Koshavas. Oh, yeah, the Pozala Koshavare, Koasu Yambuchena, Chuku Chodon Nesa, Jujanes, Yawakun Sheshu Lananes. The Wakamja Sangi, Davis Sangi Sanjit and Zudun, the Dictavi Gongal and Sanjavare. Maomba Sanji Tanjan, Dilatin, San Gi Guris, a San Gigol, Jokshin, and San Gi Fumer. Tati Sanji Nambi Yantin, Zobachimbu, Gomba Latin San Diego. Ye Shimba, Ye Gurle, Ye Savar, Hanji Tene, Zobachimbu, but Zobachimbu, Zobunde, Zobachimbu, Ningu, Zobachimbu Tango, Yawa Kunti Sheku Lanames, that Zobun Dilana Yoma, Yawatamji Koma, Shasta, Omag, Shekur Damaji Teres. Kunjil nami topin trawa de, tanga tu kunjil lama de jagi de kalau majong le, tanga de jagi kalau majong lo. Ina yang zubin de jana kunjil lama jalo dan kebra meba de ya, dabak sen jauh. Tadi inji kejen 40 kopi sekian dah berapa, 40 kopi sekian sikwa jiksan dah semari be. Wah, oh ya dah, orang tu musuh jagi majong le, kunjil nami topin trawa de topa gitu ni, jamba. Wah, sikwa jiksan kunjil lama jana jalo dan kebra meba de, yes. Dilla, sunjat cepat tamai. Jobtin topsa, Jobtin the Yamin chicken country, ah, Corval Kibu Mares. At years is selection.
Pastor Rishi then continues. He says, all the three jewels, all the three rare supreme ones, meaning the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, they are all contained in the Dhammakaya.
Conjosun, that time you do yes. Conjosun now did yes, I should Chosun Yonzot, Chosun Sanji when the chip of the Sura. That Conjosun, that Joe Mobuja Bay, Condo, she Conjosun, and the Sayo Conjosun, Tacondos Mongoyero, Sayo Conjosun, or as into the Conjosun, that she Conjosun, Sanji was the show, to and then I go to Sanji guitar, also this year, I carry Mogu in Java to Ya. Chanju in like it, the Sanji Conjo go away like it, Shu Conjo, the name, getting thinking new Conjo, Conjo, the Shapa Mogu, Vilama, the Conjo Sugitari. Someone in Conjo, Deltam Jedi, Conjo Sugitro, Conjo Sunan Manjichilla, and the Conjo Sugi should not do the estimate. And they tell the
So he says, the seven treasuries contain or embody all the three jewels in their entirety. The three jewels, of course, is referring to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, right? So all of these three jewels, and when we talk about the three jewels, if we were to actually talk about the three jewels and what they are, then we'll be going off on a whole other tangent and need a lot of time for that. But yeah, we can talk about the three jewels on an outer level, inner level, secret level, right? On the secret level, the three jewels, the empty essence, luminous nature, and compassionate capacity, right? Outer level, that's Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And the inner can be explained as many other, that's called, inner level of meaning as well. We won't get into those details. One can look at Gyulama, the Uttara Tantra. That is actually a treatise. The whole treatise is about the three jewels. Also in the Kunchotra of Guyagaba Tantra, one of the commentaries on the Guyagaba Tantra, the three jewels are explained in many levels as well. So in short, the seven treasuries are contained in their entirety, all three jewels of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. And in essence, these are the Dhammakaya, the seven treasuries of the Dhammakaya or Dhammadhatu. The seven treasuries are the Dhammakaya. They are not the Rupakaya. They are not the Formkaya. Rupakaya refers to like physical representations of enlightenment, right? So including statues and statues made of clay and stone and gold, or in Thailand, that incredibly expensive jade Buddha statue that I'm told is worth a huge amount of money because of the quality of the stone. I'm not talking here about anything material or physical. No, we're not talking about external form. So we're not talking about the Rupakaya, but the Dharmakaya. The 7 treasuries are the Dharmakaya. And so it's just to backtrack. So all of the Buddha's teachings are contained, and also all Buddha's teachings are contained within the Dharmakaya. The wellspring of and source of all Buddha's teachings is the Dharmakaya, and the 7 treasuries, these teachings themselves are the Dharmakaya. The 7 treasuries are our object of homage. That's one way of translating this word used. But actually the word offering, usually we interpret the word offering as just meaning like worship or homage, or, offerings, like something that is given. But actually the scriptures explain that offering has many, many other meanings as well. The word offering can also mean realization, practice, that which is to be practiced and trained in, and so on. So the Dharmakaya is that, the object of homage or offering with all of its connotations. And Pajarumshe continues to say, all of the Buddhas of the past have manifested enlightenment through these 7 treasuries, by realizing these 7 treasuries. All of the future Buddhas to come need to manifest enlightenment by realizing these 7 treasuries. And all of the present Buddhas, those who are on the brink of attaining enlightenment, are doing so through these teachings of the 7 treasuries. These 7 treasuries, which teach the essence of the great perfection of natural awareness. For all of these reasons, these 7 treasuries are simply matchless, unequaled, unsurpassable. Pajarumshe says, for those of us who did not have the good fortune to meet Longchenpa in person, by encountering these 7 treasuries, it's like meeting him in person. It's like the 7 treasuries, you can say, like a photocopy or a replica of Longchenpa. They really are Longchenpa. So to encounter the 7 treasuries is to encounter Longchenpa, the all-knowing Longchenpa. Really, there's no difference. He then says, if one can encounter these teachings, receive them, and put them into practice, then there is no need to be reborn again in samsara.
Yeah. 용서 제비 깔와 예신도 단 디나싱게 깔와 롱슈 깔와 랑게 냐렌지 깔와 kunje longchen ramjim ki tene chuki jipada shewa tamche tinjagi tokyo kalwa yobi tuesu dorwari gina sayo chidari kyo nyawari wasa ta kyo sayo megen mere la kyo dosho re la wata kunchen chenpo song di na shingi swangi unjab gena shingi songji tira tokyo tila payo na tsik shono kachi ki korwa pang tokyo to korwa la dro tokyo ki damba teta yogi kyo tarang yogi kyo ki kyo de mishu di yogi kyo kyo de minchuk di kyo yogi kyo ki tene yamzo malana kyo sayo megen so nyawasa semetse di konsem jiga mi nyomba yana pare lesson do digin nashi ka na da de lo da dawat ne nyasa na gel de do o conscious lesson ne chise inji ge ta mi inji shi shi ma mo ya ti se ge nashi te kyoste mi nyomba na pare lesson na digin to pare the brain pare lesson ta yan su tre sistema sem ti jiga tingi mo kan shagan do ikyo tinda res o ya tin kalwa ni shin do darwar gin na sabi chi tari ke mi mare kyoste mi ne ti da wo de lesson. Yeah.
Next, Padramshi gives us a kind of scolding. He says the effect of hearing just a single verse of these teachings, say one verse or one paragraph of the Treasury of Dhammadhatu, just by hearing one single verse from that text, at the very least, even in someone really thick-skinned, still. By hearing that verse, that single verse, someone will feel at least a bit of revulsion towards samsara. You know, the attachment to samsara that preoccupies and snares so many of us, most of the time, attachment to our family and our spouse and our children and our circle and our work and preoccupations, thinking that these are also important and good and worthwhile. By hearing even just a paragraph of the Treasury of Dhammadhatu, one will, even if one isn't filled with revulsion and isn't able to actually just cast aside all worldly mistaken concerns, at least one will feel a moment of disgust and revulsion with these worldly, mundane concerns. Such is the power of just hearing even a single verse of these teachings. Of course, and best is there is also the possibility that just through, at the same time, just through hearing a single verse of these teachings, one can come to recognize directly the natural state, natural awareness, intrinsic nature of mind, and through that recognition, samsara will just be ripped to shreds, be destroyed, be with no hope for reconstruction. That's also possible, very possible. So. When we say samsara ripped to shreds, we mean like clothes they're not just like torn or ripped in one or two places. You know, in that case you can stitch them back together, you can mend them, patch them, whatever. When a piece of clothing is like ripped, just totally ripped to shreds all over, you can't. It's beyond repair, right? So that's what we mean here. Samsara being ripped to shreds. The causes for rebirth and samsara being annihilated, uprooted, a bit like burning seeds, so that they can no longer give rise to anything. So receiving the 7 treasuries engenders this revulsion from samsara, and it also will. Padramshi then says, so someone who has received the 7 treasuries, then they will feel revulsion for samsara. They will turn away from such concerns. They'll become increasingly content and open. A bit like that line in Dujya Rinpoche's Calling the Guru from Afar, where he says, the Dzogchen yogi who is carefree, happy and carefree, no matter whose company they're in. Just like that. If just one paragraph has the power to transform us like that, no need to mention the power of receiving like one of these treasuries or all 7 treasuries in full, right? That said, if these treasuries must not be read or looked at if one has not received the empowerment and oral transmission, the long for these texts. Do not look at them if you have not received the empowerment and transmission. This will harm you. It will also damage the blessings of these texts, because these texts are still protected by Ekazati Ravula and Damshinta Jiveka. They guard these texts as closely as a shadow they are with these texts as closely as the shadow is with the body. So if someone without the requisite permission and transmissions looks at them, well, they will act and they will harm you, and you will be harmed. So don't do that. However, if you have the fortune to encounter these teachings, to receive the transmissions, that is an extraordinary fortune, Patrul Rinpoche says. He then says, if you do have the fortune to encounter these teachings, but then you kind of you disregard them, you just cast them aside, you don't pay heed to them, you don't study them, you don't practice them, then you're barely human, he says. You are just like someone who's brain damaged, a vegetable. You are someone who's unconscious, brain damaged, or completely deranged. You're not human. If you encounter such extraordinary fortune and then you cast it aside, you are basically a brain damaged vegetable.
Vegetable leather, vegetable. Vegetable vegetable. Yellow, the nation that Hajra Sunjala, Bobate, Gonda, Super, Toloshi, Sasha, Television, that is Andia, Kitchen. We can do the kitchen. Tela, the Kampa. Namala Gaba, Pakis and the ways again. Hello, Indicated. Care loves the toss of the strict that get lost of the tunnel, the dog as speaking. The nation that when good choose, how to do what is, such a what is it, what the Mumbo get the nation there. Just the Jimba, the nation, just at Lapasum, Sinus of Perry, and the scientist. I'm not the action, but it's not. Them good temperatures, the Liverpool, into the Angus, the Capasum. Dia opa yokasupi ne tapasum ma anu atiki tapasum de tapasum ba butam ja kam ma de ta shimbo semje tambiya sangi ko bang ya ko ti chetam de kam de ta shimbo de yina ya pajir tunju jala gomba te isa ka wa chimbo je do ka wa tamesu to chosa dibacha ne je sanje penna nangyu desum ke chigyu desum na samu ta yina ya kewa chudu kewa dun kewa sun de chosa dibacha na sangi te 때 마하 요가 저거직다 아무 요가 너기 대순다 이나 개와 순다 개와 직다 걔네 제대로게 되네 개와 아니라 진짜로 상기 아 저거 신분 네 근진 신분 그 손을 때나니 오늘 개와 찍는 거 상기 저거 다른 뱀미 개와 갈든 레지 다들 라데 하게도 더 양미스 안저 시험다 진짜 가나 로순 잠들 잠들 제잖아요 그래 개와 뱀미가 하군 저 같네 방미 방금부터 저 런니 순이로 저 민철이 어떻게 긴장 신기 때문에 자꾸 쉬어야 말했어요. 데니스도 택발을 갖고 또 뚫리지네. 남 발루전 중에서 송이가 할지도 뚫리잖아. 뭐가 대 팔치어 망쳐. 곰다 그다 저를 졸로시에서 사실 대위람도 통하면 바티들 곰 잡이 되네 그러면 저 떨어와 지네 까와지네 상기 고공을 좀 톡 둑스긴데 오늘 게 되네 사실 대위 20 통하면서 사실은 그 하면서 살와서 진짜 봐서 잡아서 들어봐. 가서 탐지된 대비 20 정도 신고 근데로 이양다 봤대. 이네 나상통도 말이라고 그래. 당원이 그 다이렉트 그런 거기 출국 어떻게 했다고 좀 뒤집었다고 하는 말거든. 내 현다게 되는 순간 그들라나야. 물론 망고 칼와 망고 소사 잡아지는 신이 도피지 인데 가라. 이 저거 신고를 때는 회제 지금 특급 말이 생겨. 강아지는 되는 가지고 공부 좀 뉴욕 바로 정말 랩도 말했어요. 랩도 때문에 공부 좀 뉴욕 가면 진짜 좀 남아요. 그러니까 좀 랩도 그거게. 남도 다 로켓다. 나상스다. 다들 공부 좀 배워서 배는 좀 친구기 때문에 남 유로 줄 때나 또 생이 되게 내가 다사 도지 되게 남 시엔 담지야. 배는 때는 20 통과면 봐. 정말 친구들 거와 타이게가 상기고 밀려 되지. 네, 이제 자꾸 SK 그가 그 사자들 위시 통화면서 저거 신고를 받고 계속 그때네 개와 뒤통한 거 전에 뭐시 따서 향부터 비게 그러다 되는 거 말이야. 아니 계셔서 거다. 마치 되는서다 되게 되는데 뭐 무슨 얘기 말했다. 뱀미기 숏컷 뱀미기 겨와 얘기 같은 된줄 때는 근데 비미기 되고 고. 야.
So now Patrul Rinpoche is talking about the special qualities of these teachings. he begins his verse with Kela, which is like and like kind of like I don't know, like saying oi or hello in English. You know, it's like just calling out. But this is quite a respectful form of doing so. So the verse opens like that in that way. He then says the three Pitakas of Buddha's teachings. So meaning the Pitaka, Vinaya, Abhidhamma, and Sutra. These three Pitakas, which teach the three trainings, are of course incredibly precious and sacred. Likewise, he says the 9 vehicles. The 9 vehicles of Buddha's teachings. So the 9 vehicles comprise the 3 vehicles of characteristics, namely the Shravaka, Pratyeka Buddha, and Bodhisattvas. Then the 3 paths of outer tantra, Kriya, Upa, and Yoga, and then the 3 inner paths of inner tantra, Maha, Anu, and Ati. Since of course all of these are very sacred teachings and approaches, they all lead sentient beings gradually out of samsara to the state of perfect enlightenment. However, most of these paths, almost all of these paths, all of these teachings involve a lot of hardship and effort. For instance, one needs to, in the vehicle of characteristics on those paths, one needs to purify aspirations and accumulate merit for at least 3 countless eons. Even in the on the paths of outer tantra, one needs to practice for 16 or 7 or 3 lifetimes before manifesting the result. Even in the approaches of the inner tantras of Maha, Atus, Sahansanu, it takes 3 lifetimes or 1 lifetime or 2 lifetimes to manifest the results. In contrast, the teachings of the Great Perfection, Longchenpa's teachings, can bring us to full realization in this very life. Even actually within a duration of just 3 years. If I say that, I know some of you might misunderstand that, but for some practitioners that is possible, like this practitioner who practiced just for 3 years and in that period of time manifested the rainbow body. So that is possible through the Great Perfection. The Treasuries says, in contrast to pretty much all the other paths, all the other approaches taught by Buddha are slow, gradual approaches. They're for people who train gradually, and they are paths that take a lot more time and they involve a lot more effort and hardship. He says, those who take these other approaches which have the mindset of like purifying and establishing. This means, when we say purifying, we mean like purifying and clearing away that which, negative, obscuring things which need to be discarded, and then the idea that certain positive qualities need to be established or cultivated. So those who have this approach, who take these approaches and have this outlook, they cannot see primordial wisdom directly. They're not going to encounter primordial wisdom, the true nature of mind, natural awareness directly. In order to directly realize or see, so to speak, primordial wisdom, Rigpa, one needs the Great Perfection, the approach of the Great Perfection. For all other paths, this direct realization of primordial wisdom is a very long way off. So such a long way off that he says, they'll never get there. It actually doesn't mean literally that these other paths will never lead to direct, a realization of primordial wisdom. It just means they're going to take so long. It's so long that it's almost like, they're never going to get there. It's a bit like if you're traveling somewhere that's really, really far away, maybe somewhere where you have to walk for weeks and months, you might say, oh, you're never going to get there. It's just impossible to reach. Of course it's possible to reach there. You just say it's impossible to reach because it's going to take you so long. It's just an expression of how long and difficult it's going to be. It doesn't mean literally that you're never going to get there. So the same goes here when it says those other approaches will never lead you to this direct realization of Rigpa or primordial wisdom. It just means, people following these approaches will get there eventually, but it's going to take so long. So such people who follow those approaches don't have the fortune to encounter these teachings of the Great Perfection, these teachings of the Great Perfection which grant one direct recognition, naked direct recognition of rebirth, and which when practiced, then teachings which grant you direct recognition of rebirth, and then teach one how to perfect the strength of that recognition and attain stability in the right recognition, and thereby manifest awakening. So with all of this, Ajahn Rinpoche is talking about special qualities of the great perfection in comparison to the beloved ites.
람디도라 하진 지된다 꾸질라마 추기냐지 추기도바 지된데바리 추인 저디 추기니 꾸인스 안데 뒤뒤 말랍샤나 람디도 발라서 저거 친구기 람디 발라 하지 세단 지된 디게 하단 제와서라 지된 감 딘나라 드네 하단 제와 탐지게 지 나라 지 디지게나 드네 군jelonse 람점도 수지요 말았어요 람디도 라다지 지된나 군jel라마 추기냐지 군jelonse 람점 나신 지기를 빠뜨는 저거 친구기 내림도 저거지 지된 디나다 가와 하율라요 말이야 아따 지역이 나라야 좀 이제 대축 가서 이제 방송이랑 요 말이에요. 추급된 바지 됐네 봐라 추인주도 추게 뒤나네 연결을 군정랑제람 좀 내고 대사디 추인주 나신 요 말했어. 추급된 바지 진이네 봐라. 뭐니게 되는 저거 추급 때문에 지진 내기 봐도 추인주 되는 추 탐지기 인군 능이 양님들에 해서 근데 뒤뒤만 온 거.
Yeah, explain. 추급된
람디도 나타 진직됐나. 이 내가 진직된 거 같다. 소다 말씀을 드리고. 군jelama 추구냐지 추구 때문에 진이네 발레 주인 저디 추기니 거이 인데와 잡고 다들
음식 인자와 추급된
아
it's controlling
추구 때문에 진이 때문에 추구 센터 저것이 그래라 임바 추구 때문에 진이네 저것이 못때 때문에 진이네 봐도 이 때는 주인 저는 추기니 거이 다 주인 저면은 저것이 요 말을 된다다 저것이 뭐 여기로 주인제도 여래 주인제 여기로 저것이 뭐 여래 얘네 다도나 저긴 난 자주도 주인제이 다 자가다지 아이네 싶어했다 야 그래서 시작한 말
then says the path of the great perfection when it comes to teaching the path of the great perfection there is no one in this world not even in the God realms so no one in our realm not even in the God realms equal to Longchenpa. So no one who was taught the great perfection the way Longchenpa has, directly and explicitly, with that strength of realization. There's no one like Longchenpa in this entire world, not even in the God realms. But this is what Ajahn Rinpoche is saying. And then he says, as long as the teachings of the Dhammakaya remain, so the teachings of the Dhammakaya are the great perfectionite, as long as the teachings of the Dhammakaya, the teachings of the great perfection remain, this treasury, the treasury of the Dhammadhamma, is its very heart. Its very heart in essence is basically saying that as long as the treasury of Dhammadhamma, Longchenpa's text, is present in the world, then the great perfection is present. And if this is not present, then the great perfection is not present. So, but yeah. Maybe we stop with one more. New Zealand hotel passion whatever kire kali nyao ya na to da chu to tang chen ba ga o sa din di chi di ina ti chi shung sang din da ti ban din na sa shung sang wo zo din do din na tong zhe zhe yan di le mi de na tong wa zang ji zhu da zao ba xian bo te zhe tong zhe mo wo se ge tong zhe zhe yan di ya zo din tong wa zang ji zhu ji de la tong zhe ya ma le na te zhe zhe yan de zo din ge lung am zhe le te ram ge de ne fi le te ya zhu ge yo ma le 프로젝트는 걸어봐도 좋았어. 레브릭스 말이야. 야. 젠더로스 되게 좀 잡아치 보기 된 전에 겁나 뒤돌게 될 하게 말이야. 저와 또 몽상이 딱 접든 되게 롱컵제 담제 그 중도 전화 개와치가 상죠. 마주나 개와 말 다네 마주나 마온 개와 총도 진짜 상미게 다시 오마 간스나 그 접든 되셨단 제가 좀 잘해서 저와 또 몽상이 개와 그 주주진 그 류가 그 상예로래 상태야. 다 잘 치신 So now we need to rejoice in our fortune. But those of you who've received the transmission of these profound texts need to rejoice. So this is what the next few lines highlight. Some of you went recently to receive these transmissions, right? So New Zealand and also Mexico. No doubt you had to spend a lot of money to get to those places, the airfare, the hotel, and so on and so forth. All of that expense and trouble was meaningful and beneficial. So you need to rejoice in that. Rejoice in what you did, in your own good fortune. Pater Rinpoche says these 7 treasuries, they are the unsurpassable liberation through seeing, liberation through hearing, and liberation through recollection. We talk about different types of liberation, right? Like liberation for seeing, hearing, touch, and so on. So he says, just seeing the 7 treasuries is liberation upon seeing. The best type of liberation upon seeing. When we say liberate here, we mean liberate from samsara, right? Gaining freedom from samsara. The 7 treasuries are the best liberation upon hearing. So to receive the transmission of these treasuries is the best kind of liberation through hearing. They're also the 7 treasuries are also the best kind of liberation through recollection, meaning thinking about the teachings and practicing them. So in this way, just by having come into contact with the 7 treasuries, through their blessings, the strength of their blessings, one will be sure to attain enlightenment in one life, if one applies oneself, or at least within several lifetimes to come, 2 or 3 or 9, 10, 11. Sooner or later, you will be sure to attain enlightenment because of the connection you have with these, by virtue of your connection with these unsurpassably blessed treasures. So now I will give the Lord for Pater Rinpoche's text.
Teni kirana da yisegena jengin nyama shegirna nyentumna ten chuna kyu yurochi jito. Teni dimyuna da kyo bo with new kipte sero kis.
So actually, as I'm reading through the text, as I said before, Pater Rinpoche actually goes through each of the treasuries in this paragraph or more, where he's lauding praise on each of the individual treasuries, their special qualities. My plan was actually to kind of go through the text in that way and give an overview, summarize like his praise of each treasury, one by one as he does in the text. And you can see I've highlighted some of the paragraphs in preparation for this. But then, as so often happens when I teach, it didn't go according to plan. And anyway, now we're out of time and I'm tired, and I also have diabetes, and which means I need to pee a lot, so I also need to pee. So I'm not going to say anymore, I'm just going to give below. But you can read the text, Pater Rinpoche's text, in English and read his words. And also, in the future, it would be good if this person translates the longer teaching I gave on this text into English, and then others can read it. And of course, there are other, good explanations by other good teachers. Okay, finish. That's all. That's it.
Not one. So, what? Okay, bye-bye.